All right, let's take a look. Anyone figured out what I'm doing here? That's an awful lot of holes for the small number of shots. There's 1, 2, 3 here, 1, 2, 3 here, a couple sets here. Basically what I was doing was shooting 3 shots per trigger pull. And I'm using, if you didn't notice, the Byrna kinetic rounds. And each of these is 3 grams, so I'm shooting essentially a 9-gram shot from my high power TCP, and it's shooting in these very tight patterns, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then the other 3, and the other 3's here. And it delivers these balls into here quite nicely. I actually shot 5 shots, so that was 3 shots each. And you can see these patterns of 3 very tight patterns. So the 3 balls, you know, just stay very close together, and this is at 20 feet. This is quite impressive. I expected that they might interfere with each other and spread or not be so accurate, but I was surprisingly accurate. In fact, I put 3 separate shots. That would be 9 separate balls, all in the same hole. I was just trying to get in this area, but they all went, 3 of them went here, and 2 of them went here. Overall, collectively, they're going to be similar to a 9-gram ball, but it's going to be divided by 3. So the amount of energy being delivered is going to be 1/3 for each of these. But if you were looking for the most bang for your buck or deterrence, and you don't really care about the actual absolute power, this is kind of interesting result. Now, it's not practical for self-defense, and I'll explain that in a minute. All right, let's give them a little harder target. This is a pot lid used for stir frying. This is not super thick, but again, these are the Byrna kinetic rounds, and we don't want to try something that's impossible. I believe that this is something that's realistic, and I'm going to be shooting up into it, trying to get right in here, and we'll see what happens with this. Okay, going to be same as before. We got the Byrna kinetic rounds. Can be shooting 3 at a time this time, muzzle loading 2 from the barrel. All right, it's charged up. Let me show you this time what I've been doing. So I've got 2, already got 1 in the breech. We just drop 1, 2. And so we got now 3, 2 in the barrel, and you have to just have a slight angle so they don't roll out. All right, let's see what it does. All right, let's take a look. That was the first shot, and obviously the most powerful shot. So we might as well take a look at that one first before firing some more. So it looks like initial shots did hit up in here, and then they sort of ricocheted down in here, but we got quite a few dents. 1, 2, 3. I think those are the original shots. 1, 2, 3. Again, a tight grouping. I was shooting up, so I was trying to hit in here, and I got a reflection here. And then I'm sure that they ricochet off the ceiling and come down on the floor. So I'll have to look for them, but let's do a couple more shots and see what we can do. All right, muzzle loading the next 2 very carefully. Trying to keep the fingers away, just roll it over the edge and down in the hole. All right. All right, I think we'll probably stop there. Those things are going everywhere. But let's see what kind of damage we got. I'll be looking for those for a long time because they've gone literally everywhere. So that was just 2 trigger pulls, 6 shots. We got all of these primary target dents up here, and you can see what it's doing. So these don't have the punch that you would expect from a Grimberg Joules, and so it's not penetrating, but it is denting it up on the back here on both sides. But you're really getting a double hit here. You're getting hit, and you're getting a hit down here. But this is what you get, and that certainly would not feel comfortable to be getting hit with this kind of dents. And these are basically the dents. If you tune the TCP back down to around 330, 350, which is about what you can shoot these things at comfortably and safely, this is the kind of damage that you would be getting from them. Maybe this is shooting a little higher than that even, because I've got it 10 turns in from flush, and it's shooting the 8-gram projectiles at 360. And so these would probably be a third the weight, but I'm shooting 3 of them at a time, so it's probably going to be sort of a wash. I'm guessing somewhere around 350 FPS is what these are going at. But again, these are 3-gram projectiles. Okay, let's do another one. I just did a slow-mo. Let's do one at regular speed. All right, final look after those extra shots. So basically it got several rounds of 3Bs, and then I shot a couple more the same way. And it did actually start to break through at the very end, as you can see here. There was finally starting to break through right there. Right here. So those things, not a single one of those broke. They're all perfectly fine. And let's take a look at them. All right, so what did we learn? We learned that we can take the TCP, we can load Byrna kinetic projectiles in the mag, and I was using the T8.1 9.1 mag, which worked just fine. One thing I can tell you, that the barrel is not a perfect match to these, and I'll show you here. So they're a little bit small for the barrel, of course, and that was to be expected. So they, you know, they roll down in the barrel, and then they roll out. That's not an issue. But the detents are not ideal for these either. So I did have an occasional one where I put in the CO2 and one went out the barrel. I had one where I charged it and one came out the barrel. But it only happened 2 times with 2 projectiles. The rest of the time it was okay. This is just a fun test. I know it's not realistic, it's not practical, but essentially what I was doing was I was taking 2 projectiles and just carefully dropping them in like this. And I had one in the breech, and so as long as I kept a slight angle, they fired perfectly. And not only did they fire perfectly, they fired with essentially a grouping that was sort of like this. They really did not spread very much. And so that's one thing we learned, that they don't just go off in all directions. And if you can get a lot of rounds down range by doing that, and it's just something that's not practical for self-defense. It's not like you can have these in your pocket and you're putting 2 in each time you shoot. It's just completely unrealistic. But sometimes we have to do these experiments to sort of find out what would happen. Now, you might ask, well, why I don't just shoot 1 at a time in here? And the reason why is this thing is tuned up to as high as 36 joules. And that's just too much, especially with a 3-gram projectile. That's going to be shooting these things one by one, well over 400 FPS. And that's just unsafe, in my opinion, for your bolt going forward. There's not going to be enough back pressure from projectiles that are that light. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but eventually you may pay a price. So that's why I thought, well, at least I could try these Byrna projectiles doing 3 at a time, and I think you've seen the results, and it's something that I've always been wondering. So these are very durable. You know, I know that they're not cheap. The price has gone up recently, but they held up very well. These are the shots that were fired, and I did not have a single break. And I shot them on cardboard, which was not a surprise, but I shot a bunch onto that metal pot, and you see the damage on the metal pot, but I had no breakages of the projectiles. So take with that what you wish, but I think all you Byrna users out there that are running these, I think these have potential. Certainly, you can deter people by good shot placement and putting these things downrange, and with the Byrna or other type of markers that are tuned down, putting these things out is certainly going to stop someone if they're getting hit repeatedly in uncomfortable places. And so I'm not totally opposed to that idea. I really like that idea, and I've tested these already in the Pepperball Lifelight, and you could check out that video. I'll put the link up above. And then stay tuned for more. I'm going to try to test these a little bit more in the future, and try to figure out ways that they can be used more effectively. So stay tuned.